Hello, Abhiram. Today, let us discuss about the material management in this particular session. The material management is nothing but that deals with the flow of materials. It can be inputs from the supplier to the production of the plant, production and distribution, and then processed this input and converted into output for the consumption of customers. So the key objective for this material management is to make the product or services available to the customers right at the time, at the right cost, at the right place, and with the right quantity. So in some literature, we do find that material management is almost considered as logistic management, distribution of planning and control. Earlier in good olden days, material management was treated as a pure operational, sometimes even clerical activity while purchasing and storing it for key functions. Later, after this particular raw material is there with us, we have to accept that raw material, process it into a semi-finished or work in progress good. After it is completed, it means coming to final stage. The purchase activity, the marketing management team must be the key position in the operations, followed by stores and inventory. So as far as some definitions are concerned,
Madam, can I have your photo for 1 minute so that I will just share and go.
You want me to on the video? Sir, okay na?
Okay, madam. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. So right now, if you think from general point of view, earlier in the good olden days, material management is nothing but controlling of the raw material, allocation of the raw material, and movement of raw material from the commodity stage to the industries and processing it for further consumption. So material management includes, strictly speaking, positions like planning, directing, controlling, coordinating, and all these, that's what we say in general sense, functions of management, and which are concerned with material in specific, and we can say that inventory requirements. Inventory is nothing but stock. So from these points of view, inception, we need to know about how the material to be managed. That is what is the scope for material management. So in order to go for what is meant by material management and what is the utility of material management, especially in operations management, we need to know certain points like earlier what we have discussed, like material planning and control. Planning plays a very pivotal role in from an individual point of view to the company as a whole. So from the above mentioned discussion points, we just learned that in detail, material planning and control is nothing but a surgical logistic. I can say it's a surgical logistic. The reason is which deals with economies also. For example, how much I need. For example, how much aggregate orders I can get. For example, I'm starting a saree shop now. I mean to say that because this is Shravan Masam, sarees will be at demand. So how much sarees I need to bring, which design I need to bring, how to attract the customers, how to go to the women and say that I'm selling sarees over here, how to attract the cast, means forecasting methods, what are the available control methods. This is only because we have studied and understood all these purchase processors from different activities and related to purchases of units. Because, for example, what the product I'm selling, that depends the variety of the customer. And furthermore, other functions of material management, we need to discuss about inventory management, means stock. Just in time. And one more thing, you need to know about stores management, standardization, simplification. All these analyze the individual material management and planning and control of material management. So what is meant by material planning? You can say, if at all after degree, what is your plan? That is different. How to manage your plans for personality, how to manage your plans for stock, that is different. So here, if we speak strictly about what is meant by material planning, it involves three activities. Material planning involves three activities, that is forecasting for production, planning at aggregate level, and preparing the master production schedule. So all these 3 points clubbed together will just say that, yes, this is what is meant by material, production, and planning. So first of all, we need to know about forecasting for production. On the basis of the demand forecasted from the marketing department, the production department must decide to what level, to what extent it has to produce. For example, if at all I feel that I can sell 100 saris per day because this is a Shravan Masa and demand will be more, I need to bring 1,000 saris with the 10 varieties of customer preferences. So in this way, if at all, depending on the demand, you need to prepare for the production. To prepare for the production is nothing but you need to bring the raw material because it is to be further processed first. So it may be noted at the same time that different levels of departments and one received from marketing department, the one deviations are due to capacity related constraints will be there, material constraints will be there, and it must fix the level of production. So it is the department, marketing department, which has to give the quotation requirement and everything. Depending on that, the company has to decide how much to produce. And here, strictly speaking, the production may be higher or lower in some cases due to the process issues, which may create conflicts between these two departments, that is production and distribution. So forecasting plays a very important role. Depending on forecasting, we place the order. Depending on the forecast, we start production. Depending on the forecast, we can plan for the future. And depending on the forecast only, we tune our production levels. Don't go aggressive, right? And next, we are supposed to know about planning. Once the level of production and the quantity of the procurement are decided at an aggregate level, the next happens is nothing but stock keeping units. So we are supposed to keep the stocks. And for instance, if production has two different colors or three sizes of total numbers, for example, levels of productions. So in this case, we are supposed to know a plan should be done by looking at micro to macro levels, means right from minute level to the levels of highest managerial things. So this is what is meant by planning at aggregate level. So the managers should plan accordingly by looking at macro levels of production, means where we can start the production, where we can end up with the production. And in the third stage, first stage is forecasting, second stage is planning, and third stage is preparing master production schedule. So on completion of aggregate planning, means aggregate planning is done and factoring of units will be done. So here planning for capacity, which is already we have discussed. After these points have discussed, we are supposed to know about interface of material management. So what is the interface of material management here? We are supposed to know about the material interfaces. Just a minute, ma. So apart from the material management, we have to know about the interfaces of material management with other departments. What is meant by interfaces is nothing but it is an intersection. Intersection means what are the interdisciplinary activities from one department to another as far as marketing material management is concerned. So here we will feel that is there any relationship with other departments to this department means most probably the answer is yes. Material management and corporate affairs. First, the relationship between in the light of a few share cost and cost productive around 40 to 60%, the top managements are streaming now to purchase of one of the key functions in material management. Any saving in material costs can add revenue and profitability. And one more instance I can cite you here is it is right time to purchase or import from a country is when the currency appreciation and currency fluctuations are there. I'll tell you with the help of one costing technique which is there in our cost accountancy, limiting factors and key factors are make or buy decisions. What is meant by this is nothing but the casting department will enhance, will tell the management that is it the probable time to purchase a particular raw material from outside or it is time for us to decide from our manufacturer. We have to manufacture right from raw material level or we have to purchase the raw material from outside. So this is what is the interface of connectivity of this material management to corporate affairs, material management to production department, because the production department we have discussed already in the earlier session that we have to do the poor quality of material or we might be due to some sampling errors, poor handling of the material, improper scheduling or order quantity issues. We know what are the basic order quantity and EOQs, economic order quantities, etc. The key concern between the operations and relationship. And third one, we are supposed to know about material management and finance department. You know, finance is the lifeblood of any business. So as far as finance departments are concerned, we are supposed to know whether material department is intermediary between the supplier and the finance department. Once the finance department has adhered to the rules and regulations of it, it may be leading to. So delay in payment from the person, from the finance department to the supplier or means some other person who is supplying to the goods to us or creditor, this will disrupt the healthy relationship between the marketing management and other issues. So on-time payment of the bills is very important to maintain good relationships with the other departments and other suppliers. Finance department plays a very important role and it must be making necessary arrangements to see that payment is made according to the requirements. And next we are supposed to discuss about material management and HRM, human resource management and marketing department. HRM and marketing department are internally closely associated to marketing material management because it is the HRM and other relationships maintained with the particular marketing management. Next, you are supposed to know about what are the sources and supply of management. Means make or buy decisions. I already told you. Make or buy decisions is nothing but in many organizations face a decision situation whether to manufacture ourselves or buy from the supplier. In this regard, a particular component or the entire product may be outsourced to fulfill the demand in the marketplace, and there are certain principles to be followed here. For instance, for an automobile company, if you take an example, the low value items and that are not critical in the product, tires, wheelbase, dashboards, etc., which can be outsourced. Certainly not the engine, which is a core efficiency of an automobile company. In such cases, if the company will go for manufacturing of low value items like tires, etc., then a lot of resources will be used. So it may be impossible for a company to make or buy single component and go for the original equipment. So these are generally thousands of components in original equipment like a vehicle, which is virtually impossible for a firm to manufacture. So time to time, the products and services performance can also be done so that they can be upgraded for better performances in the marketplace. In some companies, it may happen in-house also. Next technique is supplier scoring and assessment. Whenever we are supplied a particular means raw material, we are supposed to know from them what is the price he is giving, because we have economies of large scale production. When we are company, our company is purchasing from the same supplier, is he giving to us for assessment and other decisions. Further, a specific company may be partly low cost or agile, depending upon his market segment, and accordingly the suppliers can also be selected to fill state the daily. And we are supposed to discuss about the next one, negotiations and e-procurement. This is nothing but shortlisting of the suppliers on certain basis, which is nothing but electronic procurement. Depending on that, we take quotations from other persons. Depending on the quotations, we need to go for the inspection, and then we will be giving the suppliers. So next we are supposed to know about what are the forecasting methods. Forecasting methods depend on a moving average method. As this method, the name itself indicates, this is a very simplest method, which is in forecasting, we use to predict productions, market downtime, sales, etc. Let us consider the data on certain basis. If you take 2007, 2008, 2009 like that, the average will be moving in quarters. Means you need to take 1, 2, 3 in first instance, 2, 3, 4 in second instance, 3, 4, 5 in third instance, making the sum into 3 quarters. That is as the name itself indicates, the average is moving. First year we'll have 1, 2, 3. Second year 2, 3, 4. Third year 3, 4, 5 like that. That's the reason. This simplest method is known as moving average method. And next one we are supposed to know weighted average method. The name itself indicates here that the weights will be calculated based on moving averages. So if you take the same problem, we'll allocate the simple weights, which will be exponential, and we will be taking even the moving averages also into consideration. And the third method is exponential smoothing method. In this method, the average demand means the average which is forecasted is calculated by taking the average of the demands available and is put against the time 0. Further forecast will be calculated with the help of a formula where we will be taking previous average methods into consideration. You can ask me one question. When the first two methods like simple moving averages and weighted averages are there, what is the method? Why we need this exponential smoothing method? Since in this method, like previous two methods, does not address attend seasonality, like a forecasts are moving, so this we will be exponential method will be taken into consideration. And the fourth method is regression analysis method. It is a statistical. Regression analysis is a statistical technique where variables, independent and dependent variables are given. In this, we will take one independent variable and one dependent variable. Using these two variables, a linear equation, regression line can be drawn, where from that we will be calculating the deviations, and this method take care of the trends. And hence we find forecasting for different months. And next one, forecasting methods, comparison of results. Means here in this, aggregate production will be taken into consideration, and in materials, we'll find aggregate production planning, which is known as, generally, the forecasting figures are taken in the initial criteria for the APP problems. APP means aggregate production planning. So in this, the forecasts are then adjusted based on the feasibility of the production, and then materials to be taken for planning and procurement. In this case, the internal resources are not enough. Then the firm goes for subcontracting to outsiders and procure the finished goods. For the internal assessment of the APP, aggregate production planning, we will take certain items into consideration. It may be mentioned that the capacity of the company will be taken and the demand for production. In such situations, machine power are used proportionally by looking the demand. This may be called for additional aggregate methods, which is known as chase strategy, time flexibility strategy, level strategy, and mixed strategies. So after that, we are supposed to know about inventory concepts. Inventory is nothing but inventory is a substituting terms for stock. Inventory control is concerned with the acquisition, storage, handling, and use of this stock so as to ensure the availability of stock whenever it is required, wherever it is to be provided. And in case of contingencies, we derive the maximum and minimum of losses should be. So the periodic review from the stock and its location and continuous review policy is one of the methods in labor intensive one, but inventory remain under control. On the other hand, the periodic policy review is less labor intensive and it should be taken into consideration before the movement or to be stock is to be taken into consideration. So next we are supposed to know material requirement planning. In any manufacturing company, whether it is very small one or expanded one, it is very much essential to have a scientifically drawn plan for materials. How much the material is to be needed, how many we have, how much we are have in our hand, what is the time of order, that is economic order quantity. We'll say EOQ, where base stock will be maintained and how much order to be placed in how many days we are going to get it. To help these manufacturing queries answer, one of the methods we'll basically use is material requirement planning. This is MRP. So better response to customer orders will be done. Faster response to market changes should be adhered and involved in improving utilization of resources. So this automatically reduces the inventory levels. When we talk about the material management requirement, we bring into considerations the independent dependent and demand dependent. So here we are supposed to know about multiple points where manufacturing resources planning will also be taken into consideration. Manufacturer resource planning is also known as MRP. It is a method of effective planning for manufacturers' resources. This composed of several linkage functions such as basic planning, business planning, sales and operative planning, capacity requirements, and all related support systems. The output can also be taken into consideration. And next, we are supposed to know inventory management. What is inventory management? Inventory management is a very important function that determines the health of the supply chain as well as the impacts of financial health of a balance sheet. So, what is inventory? In the simple terms, inventory is idle stock or physical goods, what we say. And inventory management deals with the movement of the goods. And inventory decisions means inventory management is a critical function performed by the planning to balance the inventory holding so as to ensure that optimum stock levels are to be maintained. Any excess inventory will result in an incremental cost of maintaining inventory. Either it can be handed over or it can be seriously hampering the market share. Any customer order that is not taken into consideration or fulfilled. Therefore, the responsibility of striking a fine balance in holding lean inventory calls for smart planning and continuous monitoring of the inventory levels coupled with the quick decision making. So we take about classification of inventories. We have stock in trade, that is raw material, work in progress, finished goods, and scrap. If you take types of investment, it is independent, dependent, and dependent. And what are the functions means? After taking the raw material into consideration, we need to find it. We need to find the variability. We need to find the cost. That's what we say inventory cost. Inventory cost is nothing but the cost which is we involve in inventory, procuring the inventory, stores, and management associated with high costs. And next one is ordering cost. In order to place an order, what is that cost involved in using and receiving material? These include determining how much is necessary, needed, preparing invoices, inspecting goods upon the arrivals of quality and quantity. So next one is carrying cost. After ordering cost, we need carrying cost. Next, shortage cost. And what is meant by shortage cost is nothing but this cost is the result of item for not being in stock. For example, shortage of cost expenses, loss of goodwill, contribution cost, back order cost. For means these are dealing with the goods of disappointed customers. After delivering the goods, if they find that it is not in good order, again we'll be taking. So such orders will be back order cost and purchase cost. This is what is paid to the supplier by the buyer in exchange of the product. Inventory is usually a large investment in many firms. It's not only the second largest item in the balance sheet among the assets after fixed assets. So we can say that inventory should only be held in both the benefits from the customers and from the service point of view, exceed the inventory cost. Next, I told you already EOQ. This is economic order quantity, which is the order size that minimizes the total cost. EOQ is nothing but minimizing the total cost, identify the minimum order quantity where the assumptions will be taken into consideration. So with this economic order quantity, we just say that it's an important technique of inventory management.
Shanti ma'am, any issue?
So what is this? EOQ is economic order quantity. And for this economic quantity, we are supposed to know about the most important technique, which is inventory management. So the EOQ is nothing but that refers with the order size. That is optimal order size that will result in lower order quantities and lower the carrying cost of each and every item. That is expected usage, carrying cost and order cost. So with this holding cost or carrying cost, when the number of units are to be ordered, if the cost is highest, obviously in EOQ modeling cost is expressed as a terms of unit. That means to go for economic order quantity, there are certain even limitations for EOQ economic order quantities. That is, the demand for inventory is seldom constant. That means we feel that the demand fluctuates and EOQ will be giving misleading results. In this period, the rise in demand where EOQ, economic order quantity model, based on historic demand levels. For example, last year for saree shopping, there is 10% increase. And before last year, it is maybe 15% increase. So this year, we predict that it will be around in between 10 and 15. So in such cases, we may land up to unnecessary or unleading questions. And quantity discounts will also be taken into consideration at the time we will be taking or calculating this inventory levels. And next one is we will be coming across so we will be coming across a certain variable and valid analysis before we go for that is what are the various analysis we will be taken into consideration in EOQs is the first one ABC analysis. And in ABC analysis, what we are supposed to know is this analysis categorizes items based on their annual consumption. Sometimes it will be inventory managers who use the inventories for classification and other purposes. And other times it will be means the purpose of this classifying ABC analysis is nothing but we need to expand the inventory and inventory cannot be demanded extra. That means during application of this concept, we are supposed to have certain points in time. For category A, if the subject of inventory is control, we need to have continuous cooperation and interaction with that particular point and placing the order. For category B, it will be moderate. For category C, the item should be procured infrequently and insufficient quantity. So for calculating the steps of ABC analysis, we should keep it in mind that total number of items and item code, annual consumption of the items should be taken into considerations and due care. And this will be FS&D analysis, means fast moving, slow standing moving, normal moving, and dead items, which are not in moving. So FS&D are nothing but fast moving, slow moving, normal moving and dead items. These items means where the stock will be taken into consideration on depending on the variable and average. Next, we are supposed to consider about WVED analysis. This is an analysis whose qualification is dependent on the user's experience and perception. For example, perception differ from one to another. This analysis classifies inventory according to the relative importance of certain items and other items like spare parts, we can say. In VD analysis, the items are classified into three categories in short. That is inventory, that is in stock. Next one, keeping minimum stock for inventory and operation cannot run without this, means optimum stock where the lowest possible stock will be taken into consideration. Next, HML analysis. This classifies the inventory of the product into high cost, medium cost, and low cost. Next comes SDE analysis. That is scarce items analysis, difficult item analysis, and easily available analysis. Next one analysis we are supposed to know is GOLF analysis, government control supplies, open market supplies, local supplies, and financial market supplies. Next, SOS, seasonal items, off-season items, right? Next, we are supposed to XYZ. Means this is nothing but based on certain closing ceremony difficult values items. Such classification is done every year at the time of annual stock, taking in the items into highest inventory valuation, which are classified into X, Y, and Z. Next, we are supposed to discuss a very good item that is just in time. So what is meant by just-in-time inventory? This is nothing but a strategy to increase the efficiency and decrease the wastage by receiving goods only when they are needed and which is ready for to be gone for production process. Thereby, the reducing the inventory costs. The name itself indicates just in time. In other words, we'll say when the stock is needed, we'll be taking the inventory then only, and we'll be having the objective of having inventory readily available for production. So this just-in-time is the concept of manufacture management and invented specially to avoid wastage. This is ordered to minimize the wastage and increase the productivity. This is one of the time of lean manufacturing, which is the process to control the productive production and depends on the demand by the customers. So the features of just-in-time is we'll say more responsive to customers, more flexible. It will be more achieving better quality because we did not keep the stock with us as and when it is not needed. It reduces production cost and eliminates disruptions, and the stock will be obtained just when we are needed. Right. Thank you. Tomorrow I'll be continuing with the class for stores management.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Nanam.